I've had the honour of working with great master filmmakers with animation before. Wes Anderson, for example, who is similarly a devotee of pure cinema. It feels to me like Guillermo similarly takes animation literally in his own hands, and there's a sort of glee, a sort of child's glee, I suppose, about working it and working the clay of it. And obviously working with his extraordinary technicians and artisans. And his decision to go full artisan on it is such a cineast's decision, because we all have, well, certainly my generation has, beautiful memories of early, particularly from Eastern Europe, stop frame animation that felt absolutely palpable and actually, frankly, as if one could have done it oneself. And I think that's very magical for children.
The thing that you see at the first look, first sight, first glance even, is that it doesn't look like any animated film you've ever seen before. It is because, regrettably, I find, because Pinocchio is a very beautiful novel, book, that has existed for a long time before it was turned into a movie, and the movie had its place in the you know, and the historical context of that movie and the cultural context of that movie made it necessary for certain adaptations. But because of the distribution of a movie versus the distribution of a novel, the movie has become the standard, and it's very difficult to leave that standard because, you know, people's expectations, people's images inside their heads, and all of a sudden you see something completely different.
The sets are just so evocative of the beauty of these little Italian towns. And I know it's because my wife comes from a small town in the south of Italy, so I know places just like this, absolutely. And that's the romanticism of that is offset by some of the characters that Geppetto encounters, like the priest in the church and the fascist guy from the congregation with his kids, and it goes into a much darker territory. And even the priest he seems benevolent at the start, but he's quite malevolent in reality. And having been educated in a Catholic school myself, I think, I know that guy.
Being in a stop-motion movie comes with its positives and its negatives, because although some might say I don't have to memorize the lines off by heart, it's also a lot harder to fully show off acting, because someone who's in live action can fully use their body. As I mentioned earlier, they can fully use their body to express how they're feeling. I can only use the power of my voice, so I think it makes it a lot harder, but also a lot more fun.
I think that, like all master filmmakers, and Guillermo is one, he has the film in his head to a certain extent, and it's his task to kind of pull it out of his ear and share it with the many hundreds, potentially thousands of people who help him to bring it to the screen. But there's always room for a conversation, and there's always room. He will, and only working with him on animation, meaning all he's ever done with me is work with the voice, or rather, that's all I've had the chance to do with him. There's a proposal of something that's very clear to him, and one tries to meet that, and then there's another antechamber of possibility of something he never thought of, that he's also open to. So it's that wonderful mix of knowing exactly what he wants, but wanting to be surprised, which is very helpful.
Guillermo can employ his style, or rather, the style is a result of the story that he wants to convey. what he wants to communicate, what he wants to tell. There's never a didactic element. He never wants to teach the audience. He never, is on a mission. He is never imposing an opinion or forcing a point. He's telling a story. And if he does it in his Baroque, exuberant way, the result will be the style. And that's how it should be. So you may notice, or have noticed, in Pinocchio, the style is slightly different. Yeah, because the story is different. Auditioning
for the film was quite a long process, so I remember getting my first audition. I didn't know it was Pinocchio. It was just some animation where I just had to read the lines, and I got told by one of the producers that out of all the people who auditioned, I was one of the only people who showed my face while actually auditioning, because obviously it's a voice recording, but I still wanted to show my face to sort of emphasize it. And then we had round 2, and my mum told me that I got the call back for Pinocchio, and I was really confused. I couldn't get my head around it because I just didn't understand where Pinocchio came from. And then eventually I realized, and I remember I was at my friend's house, and I was a lot younger. I didn't have my own phone, so I got my friend's mum came in with the phone and said, "It's for you." And my brother said to me, "Can I call you Pinocchio?" And I knew I got the part, and it was the best feeling.
I think the combination of Pinocchio, the story, and Guillermo del Toro is pretty obvious. I mean, it was going to happen sooner or later. It feels like, not just in terms of the technical treasure trove that it is, but also in terms of its themes. Guillermo is always looking at what it is to be, in particular, human, but more generally mortal. What it is to feel a freak, what it is to join society, how does one join society, what place does one take in society. That's his territory, and Pinocchio is all about that. And so I hope that people will be moved by this ancient narrative that they've heard of many times before, seen, interpreted many times before by different people. But with Guillermo holding their hands, that they will get something really profound about life, and the fact that life is short and we have to live it and make choices about living it as best we can.
I suppose the icing on the cake during the process of filming this was being taken down to Abbey Road Studios to record the song, My Son. And I got out of the car at Abbey Road Studios, and there were people walking across the zebra crossing and the usual thing. And there were people hanging about outside the Abbey Road Studios. And I didn't realise it was still such a popular spot. And 2 American ladies came over to the car as I got out. And one said, "My God, is it really you? Is it you?" I said, who are you thinking of?" She said, "Willie Nelson?" I said, no. I wish I had his money, but no, sorry. So I was sorry to disappoint them, but slightly delighted, And then I recorded the song in Studio 3 on a microphone that was an iconic mic. It had been used, I think Pink Floyd had recorded some of Dark Side of the Moon on this mic, and Amy Winehouse made her last ever recording in that studio on the same mic. And so it was just, again, one of those things that you'd like to put on your bucket list, but you think, I'm wasting my time because it won't happen, but it did.